So the first thing we want to do is take this puff pastry and roll it out to fit the pan. So you may need just a little bit of flour on this, but you don't want to put too much because you don't want to make this tough. So I just take a little bit of flour and sprinkle it on my board, lay the pastry sheet down, and then just roll out until you have something that's larger than the pan that you plan to put this in. And how are you going to know when the pastry is big enough to put into your shell? Well, you just take your tart pan and put it right over it, and that will give you an estimation. So then you just lift it up and plunk it right there. And now you want to give this some slack, because as this bakes, it's going to shrink some. And you noticed I put it into an ungreased tart shell. So give this a little slack by lifting up the edges and moving some of the pastry to the center. You're not going to see this in the shell at all. Then where you have excess, I just take and roll over it. And then you want to use your fingers to just push those edges into the sides of the tart shell itself. And the first thing we're going to do is just take a fork and just poke a few holes here and there, because as this bakes, the shell is going to puff up. That's why it's called puff pastry. And then take a sheet of aluminum foil, put it over the tart shell, just like that. And then you want something to weight it down. You could use uncooked rice, dried beans, and then your oven is on. And for this tart, this is going to bake at 425. Doing a shell like this without anything in it is called blind baking the shell. So in it goes. And in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to have to come back and check that. Now we have to do something to this while it is hot. So let me bring that over here and show you what happens. So now we remove the rice or the beans. And you see how that kept that down. And it puffed up somewhat, and don't worry about the edges there. Now what you need to do is take and brush this with some mustard while it's still hot. So some Dijon mustard brushed over the shell. Get it all over. I love mustard in this. It gives this tart just a really nice flavor. And then you just set that aside, because now you have to do something else. You need to put in your filling ingredients. And for this, we have, again, tomatoes and cheese. And here we're using fontina. So once this has just cooled it down a bit, then you want to spread the cheese in the base of the tart. What's nice about this is that there are no eggs in this tart at all. Spread the cheese in neatly. And then you want to make a layer of tomatoes. And all I did here was cut up plum tomatoes, and then I salted them to get out the extra moisture, because I don't want all of that liquid on my tart. Then I rinsed off the salt, dried the tomatoes, and now they're ready to put in the shell. Move that out of the way. And now for herbs, we can use marjoram, oregano, basil, parsley, and you want to put that in a food processor, or you could do this by hand. It's a clove of garlic. Here's some thyme. And how about some shallot goes in? Got two beautiful ones here. I'm going to just snip off the end of that. Put that in. Let me get a little bit of basil. Throw that in. And parsley would be nice in this. And we're using flat leaf Italian parsley. So all of that goes in. And then you just zip, zip. Get that all minced up until it's almost a paste. I love this little gadget. It takes a lot of fuss out of the kitchen. Okay, when it's all minced up like that, you move this out of the way. You put it in a little bowl. Take that out. Put it in a little bowl. And then we're going to add some olive oil to this. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil, just to moisten that and hold that together. So here we have a little extra virgin olive oil. Mix that up. And we take this and spread it over the top of the tart. Just kind of give it a little spread here and there. This gives this really great flavor. You don't like garlic, you say? Well, you could leave it out. You could do just onion if you wanted to. You could do just the herbs and olive oil. But I think the shallot gives this a really wonderful flavor. And that's going to bake up beautifully. And for this tart, our oven is on, again, at 425 degrees. This is going to take, about 20, 25 minutes to do.